The morning sun cast long shadows across the Zephyrian command ship as it drifted silently through space. Commander Vexthara stood before the massive viewing window, studying the small blue planet that hung like a jewel against the black void. Earth looked peaceful from this distance, with white clouds swirling over green continents and blue oceans. It seemed harmless enough. The Zephyrian Empire had been expanding across the galaxy for over 3,000 years. They had conquered hundreds of worlds, each one falling quickly to their superior technology and military might. Earth was supposed to be just another easy victory, another planet to add to their vast collection of controlled worlds. Vexthara turned to look at the data screens that lined the command center. His science officer, a tall alien with silver skin and large black eyes, was reviewing the planetary survey results. The information showed exactly what they expected to see. Humans had only recently developed basic space travel, their largest. Ships were tiny compared to Zephyrian vessels. They had no energy weapons, no defensive shields, and no real military presence in space. "Commander," the science officer said in their clicking language, "the target world shows typical patterns of a young civilization. They have crude chemical rockets, simple satellites, and primitive space stations. Our scouts report that their military technology is limited to kinetic weapons and basic explosives. They pose no threat to our forces." Vexthara nodded with satisfaction. This would be another quick conquest, just like the others. The humans would see their mighty fleet approaching and surrender immediately. Most species did when they realized how outmatched they were. Those that didn't surrender were easily destroyed by Zephyrian firepower, far below on Earth's surface. In a hidden command center, buried deep beneath the Colorado mountains, Admiral Lisa Brooks watched the alien ships through powerful telescopes. She had been waiting for this moment her entire career. The gray-haired woman had spent 30 years preparing Earth's secret defenses, and now those preparations would finally be tested. "Ma'am," called out Lieutenant Kate Sullivan from her position at the communication station, "we're receiving the standard conquest transmission from the alien fleet. They're demanding immediate surrender and tribute payment." Brooks smiled grimly. The aliens had no idea what they were really facing. Earth looked primitive from space because that's exactly how humanity wanted it to look. For over a century, ever since strange radio signals first hinted at intelligent life among the stars, Earth's governments had been building a secret defense network. While the world's public space agencies launched small rockets and built basic space stations, the real work was happening far from prying eyes. Hidden facilities across the globe had been developing advanced weapons and building a fleet of warships that existed in complete secrecy. Every major nation had contributed resources, scientists, and personnel to Project Guardian. Dr. Alan Carter sat at his workstation in the underground complex, analyzing data from sensors scattered throughout the solar system. The elderly scientist had been studying alien technology for decades, ever since the first intercepted transmissions revealed details about Zephyrian ship designs and weapon systems. His team had been reverse engineering alien technology long before the aliens knew Earth existed. "Admiral," Carter said, looking up from his screens, "the alien fleet consists of 12 vessels, just as we predicted. They're maintaining standard approach formation, which means they're not expecting any resistance. Their shields are at minimum power, and their weapons are not charged for combat." Brooks nodded. The aliens were being careless because they thought Earth was defenseless. They had studied human civilization and seen exactly what humanity wanted them to see. Public records showed a species that had barely left their home planet, with technology that seemed centuries behind galactic standards. What the Zephyrians didn't know was that those public records were carefully crafted lies. Earth's real technology was hidden in underground bases, asteroid mining facilities disguised as research stations, and ships that stayed far from normal shipping lanes. The entire solar system had been turned into a fortress while maintaining the appearance of a peaceful, developing world. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, humanity's most advanced warship. The vessel was currently hiding behind the dark side of Earth's moon, its stealth systems making it invisible to alien sensors. Morrison had been commanding the ship for 5 years, training his crew for the day when Earth's enemies would finally arrive. The Defiance was nothing like the crewed rockets and space shuttles that the aliens had observed. It was powered by fusion reactors that could generate enormous amounts of energy. Its hull was made from materials that didn't officially exist, composite metals developed in secret laboratories. The ship's weapons included plasma cannons, quantum torpedoes, and gravitational disruptors that could tear apart enemy vessels at the molecular level. Captain, his tactical officer reported, all fleet units are in position. The UES Retribution and UES Vengeance are ready to engage from their positions near Mars. The Guardian and Thunder are standing by in the asteroid belt. Total of 18 ships ready for combat. Morrison looked at the display showing alien ship positions. The Zephyrians were approaching Earth with the casual confidence of predators stalking helpless prey. They had no idea that humanity had been tracking their movements since they entered the outer solar system. Hidden sensor networks had been monitoring their communications, analyzing their tactics, and preparing countermeasures. The human ships used technology that was decades ahead of what Earth's public scientific community claimed was possible, while civilian scientists published papers about theoretical physics. Military researchers had been building working prototypes of those theories. What the academic world considered impossible, Earth's secret weapons programs had turned into reality. Commander Ben Phillips, captain of the UES Retribution, received final orders from Deep Command. His ship and its sister vessels had been built, using knowledge gained from studying alien transmissions and recovered artifacts. Human engineers had not just copied alien technology, they had improved it, creating weapons and defenses that exceeded the original specifications. The Zephyrian fleet continued its approach, completely unaware that they were being watched by dozens of concealed human vessels. Their sensors showed only the primitive space installations that Earth wanted them to see. Small space stations, simple satellites, and basic research probes painted a picture of a civilization that posed no threat to galactic powers. As the alien ships moved closer to Earth, their commanders felt confident about their upcoming victory. They had conquered worlds with far more advanced surface technology. Earth would fall quickly, and its population would serve the Empire just like all the others. They had no reason to suspect that this small blue planet was about to teach the galaxy a lesson about underestimating humanity. The stage was set for a battle that would change everything. The Zephyrian Empire was about to discover that appearances could be deadly deceptive, and that humanity had turned preparation and paranoia into the ultimate defensive weapon. The Zephyrian advance fleet moved through space like metal sharks hunting in dark water. Sub-Admiral Quickstall stood in the center of his flagship's command bridge, watching Earth grow larger on the main screen. His 12 ships were each 3 times bigger than anything humans had ever built, or so his intelligence reports claimed. Quickstall had read the files on Earth many times. The planet showed all the signs of a young civilization that had barely learned to leave their home world. Their space stations were small and simple. Their rockets used old chemical fuel instead of modern energy systems. Most importantly, they had no real weapons in space beyond simple missiles that moved slowly and carried basic explosives. Sub-Admiral, his communications officer, reported, "We are receiving weak radio signals from the human planet. They appear to be discussing our arrival, but their transmissions are confused and frightened. There are no signs of military coordination." Crickstall smiled with his sharp teeth. This was going exactly as planned. The humans were probably panicking right now, trying to figure out what to do when faced with superior alien technology. Soon, they would realize that resistance was hopeless and surrender peacefully. What Crickstall didn't know was that those confused radio signals were actually coded messages between Earth's hidden military bases. Behind the moon, Captain Jake Morrison received the final attack order from Admiral Brooks. The time for hiding was over. All stations, this is Captain Morrison, he said into his ship's communication system. Operation Guardian is now active. Power up all systems and prepare for combat. Today, we show these aliens what humans are really capable of. The U's Defiance came alive as its fusion reactors reached full power. Energy flowed through the ship's systems like lightning in metal. Veins. The stealth fields that had kept them hidden for weeks finally shut down, and the massive warship emerged from behind the moon like a metal giant awakening from sleep. Morrison's tactical officer, Lieutenant Kate Sullivan, watched her screens as more human ships appeared throughout the solar system. Captain, all fleet units are reporting ready status. The Retribution and Vengeance are moving into attack position from Mars orbit. Guardian and Thunder are approaching from the asteroid belt, but the biggest surprise was yet to come. Director Tom Hayes, coordinating the battle plan from Titan Station, activated a hidden network of ships that had been disguised as space debris and abandoned satellites. 18 vessels that the aliens had completely missed suddenly powered up their engines and weapons systems. The Zephyrian sensors began detecting the human ships, but the readings made no sense to their operators. These vessels were showing energy levels far higher than anything their planetary survey had suggested was possible. The humans were supposed to have primitive technology, but these ships were generating power signatures that rivaled advanced galactic civilizations. Sub-Admiral, his science officer called out with worry in his voice, "I'm detecting multiple contacts approaching our position. The energy readings are ... impossible. These ships are showing technology levels that don't match our intelligence." Reports. Crickstall moved to the science station and looked at the data himself. The numbers seemed wrong. Human ships were supposed to be weak and slow, but these vessels were moving with speed and precision that suggested advanced propulsion systems. Their power outputs indicated weapons and shields that shouldn't exist on such a young world. Commander, Ben Phillips brought the UE Retribution around Mars at high speed, his ship's advanced engines leaving a bright trail of ionized particles. His crew had trained for this moment for years, practicing combat maneuvers in the empty spaces between planets where no civilian eyes could see them. "Helm, take us to attack speed," Phillips ordered. "Weapons, charge the plasma batteries and load quantum torpedoes. Engineering, I want maximum power to shields and weapons. This is what we've been preparing for." The Retribution was a masterpiece of human engineering, built using technology that had been developed in secret over many decades. Its hull was made from materials that could withstand tremendous damage. Its weapons could punch through armor. That would stop conventional attacks. Most importantly, its computers contained tactical data about Zephyrian ships gathered from intercepted communications. Chief Engineer Nancy Davis worked at her station, monitoring the ship's experimental weapons systems. The quantum torpedoes were based on theoretical physics that most of Earth's public scientists thought was still impossible to build. But military researchers had turned those theories into working weapons that could tear apart enemy ships at the atomic level. "Commander," Davis reported, "all weapon systems are online and functioning perfectly. The new torpedo guidance systems are tracking multiple targets. We are ready to show these aliens what human ingenuity can do." As more human ships revealed themselves, the Zephyrian fleet found itself surrounded by enemies that shouldn't exist. Captain Morrison's Defiance moved into position directly in front of the alien flagship, its weapon systems locked onto target. The human ship was smaller than the Zephyrian vessel, but it carried technology that the aliens had never encountered. Before Sub-Admiral, Kriegstall realized that something was terribly wrong with their intelligence about Earth. These humans had somehow hidden an entire space navy while making their planet look primitive and defenseless. The ships approaching his fleet were using advanced technology that rivaled anything in the Zephyrian arsenal. Communications, Kriegstall ordered, send a message to the human vessels. Demand to know how they developed such advanced technology without our knowledge. This doesn't match any of our survey data. But before the message could be sent, Captain Morrison opened a channel to the alien fleet. His voice was calm and confident as he spoke to the invaders who had come to conquer his world. Zephyrian vessels, this is Captain Morrison of the United Earth Space Navy. You came here expecting to find a weak and defenseless planet. You were wrong. Earth has been preparing for this day for over a century. We know about your technology, your tactics, and your weaknesses. Turn around and leave our system now, or face the consequences of your miscalculation. The alien fleet suddenly found itself facing an enemy that had been hiding in plain sight, an enemy that had turned deception into their greatest weapon. The first shot of the battle came from the USS Defiance. Captain Morrison had given the aliens one chance to leave peacefully, and they had responded by charging their weapons instead. The human ship's main plasma cannon fired a brilliant blue beam that cut through space like a sword made of pure energy. The plasma beam struck the lead Zephyrian cruiser's shields and burned right through them as if they weren't there. The alien ship's protective barriers, which had seemed so powerful against other enemies, collapsed in seconds under the intense heat and energy of human weapons. Explosions rippled across the enemy vessel's hull as the plasma beam carved a deep wound through its armor. Sub-Admiral Kriegstall watched in shock as his most advanced ship took damage that should have been impossible. Human weapons weren't supposed to be powerful enough to penetrate Zephyrian shields, yet somehow they had done exactly that. The energy readings from the human plasma beam were off the charts, showing technology that rivaled the Empire's best. Military equipment, all ships return fire. Kriegstall ordered through his fleet communications. Target the human vessels and destroy them immediately. These readings must be wrong somehow. The Zephyrian ships opened fire with their energy weapons, sending bright green beams toward the human fleet. But Captain Morrison was ready for their attack. The Defiance's shields absorbed the alien weapons' fire easily, the energy barriers, glowing bright blue as they deflected the incoming beams. Their weapons are exactly as weak as our intelligence predicted, Morrison told his crew. Dr. Carter's analysis was correct. We've been studying their technology for decades, and we know exactly how to defend against it. Commander Ben Phillips brought the UES Retribution into the battle from the side, his ship moving with speed and precision that amazed the alien observers. The human vessel performed maneuvers that should have been impossible for something so large, spinning and diving through space like a fighter aircraft instead of a massive warship. Target their flagship, Phillips ordered his weapons officer. Fire quantum torpedoes, full spread. Let's show them what real weapons can do. 6 quantum torpedoes launched from the Retribution, each one guided by advanced computers that could track and adjust their course in real time. The weapons moved much faster than anything the Zephyrians had seen before, and they could change direction to avoid enemy defensive fire. The torpedoes struck the alien flagship one after another, each explosion tearing apart sections of the ship's hull. The quantum weapons didn't just damage the enemy vessel. They actually broke apart the molecular bonds that held the metal together. Parts of the Zephyrian ship simply dissolved into atomic particles, leaving gaping holes where solid armor had been moments before. Lieutenant Colonel Steve Parker commanded the UES Guardian, a ship designed specifically for close combat fighting. His vessel carried dozens of smaller weapons instead of a few large ones, allowing it to attack multiple targets. At the same time, Parker had trained his crew to fight like space pirates, using speed and surprise instead of raw firepower. "Launch all missile pods," Parker ordered. "I want every alien ship to face a cloud of smart weapons. Let's see how they handle 100 missiles coming at them from different directions." The Guardian released swarms of intelligent missiles that spread out through the battle zone like angry metal insects. Each missile had its own computer brain that could think and make decisions during the fight. They worked together to overwhelm alien defense systems, attacking from multiple angles to find weak spots in enemy shields. The Zephyrian point defense weapons tried to shoot down the incoming missiles, but there were simply too many of them. The alien gunners found themselves facing weapons that could dodge their fire and coordinate their attacks. For every missile they destroyed, 2 more found their targets and exploded against enemy hulls. Commander Helen Ross brought the UES Vengeance into perfect position for a pincer attack, just as they had practiced countless times in secret training exercises. Her ship worked together with the Defiance to trap alien vessels between 2 sources of devastating firepower. "Target their engines," Ross told her weapons crew. "Disable their ability to run away. These invaders came here to conquer Earth, so they can stay here and face the consequences." The Vengeance's plasma cannons focused their fire on the propulsion systems of enemy ships, melting the advanced engines that allowed Zephyrian vessels to travel between stars. Without their engines, the alien ships became sitting targets that couldn't escape or maneuver effectively. Dr. Alan Carter watched the battle from deep command, analyzing every weapon hit and shield impact. His computers were recording detailed information about alien technology, learning exactly how strong their defenses really were and how much damage human weapons could inflict. "Admiral Brooks," Carter reported, "our weapons are performing even better than predicted. The alien shields can't handle the energy output of our plasma systems, and their armor is proving vulnerable to quantum torpedo impacts. We're winning this fight decisively." But the most shocking moment of the battle came when Commander Amy Johnson's ship, the UES Thunder, unleashed its secret weapon. The Thunder carried a gravitational disruptor, a device that could manipulate the forces that held matter together. It was humanity's most advanced weapon, based on physics that most alien civilizations had never even discovered. The gravitational beam struck the second largest Zephyrian ship and began tearing it apart. From the inside, the weapon didn't just damage the enemy vessel. It actually changed the fundamental forces that kept the ship's atoms in their proper places. The alien cruiser began to collapse in on itself, its hull crumpling like paper being squeezed in a giant's fist. Sub-Admiral Crickstell realized that his fleet was facing complete destruction. These humans weren't the primitive species his intelligence reports had described. They were warriors who had spent decades preparing for this exact battle, and they were winning with technology that seemed almost magical in its power and precision. The emergency signals from Sub-Admiral Crickstell's fleet reached the main Zephyrian force just as they were preparing to enter Earth's solar system. Fleet Admiral Zaranoth read the desperate messages with growing disbelief. His advanced ships were reporting impossible losses against human forces that shouldn't have existed. "This makes no sense," Zaranoth told his command staff as he studied the battle reports. "Our intelligence clearly showed that humans have primitive technology. How can they be destroying our most advanced warships?" The fleet admiral decided to see for himself what was happening. His massive battle group of 30 ships moved quickly toward Earth, expecting to find Crickstell's vessels engaged with crude human rockets and simple missiles. Instead, they arrived to find a battlefield filled with wreckage from Zephyrian ships. and humans' vessels that looked nothing like the primitive craft in their survey reports. Captain Jake Morrison opened a communication channel as soon as the reinforcement fleet appeared. His voice was calm and confident as he spoke to the alien commander who had come to finish what the first fleet had started. "Fleet Admiral Zaranoth, I presume," Morrison said, somehow knowing the alien's name and rank. "I am Captain Morrison, of the United Earth Space Navy. Your advanced fleet has been defeated because they made the same mistake you're about to make. They underestimated humanity." Zaranoth was shocked that the human knew his identity. How could a primitive species have detailed information about Zephyrian military commanders? The answer came as Morrison continued his transmission, revealing secrets that the Empire thought were safely hidden. "We've been listening to your communications for over 100 years, Morrison explained. "We know your ship designs, your weapons capabilities, your military tactics, and your command structure. We know that you conquered the Altarian system 15 years ago, and that you're planning to attack the vegan colonies next year." The human captain paused to let that information sink in before continuing his revelation. "What you don't know is that Earth has been preparing for your arrival since we first detected your radio signals in the 1920s. Every intercept of your transmissions taught us more about your technology. Every decoded message revealed more about your military plans." Dr. Carl Mitchell worked at his station aboard the command ship, accessing files that contained decades of research into alien technology. His team had spent their entire careers studying Zephyrian ship designs and weapons systems, learning how they worked, and figuring out ways to build better versions. "Admiral Zaranoth," Dr. Mitchell said, taking over the communication channel, "your empire considers plasma cannons to be advanced weapons. We've been building improved versions of your plasma technology for 40 years. Your quantum shields are impressive, but we developed ways to penetrate them back in the 1980s. The human scientist's words hit the alien commander like physical blows. Everything the Empire considered to be their most advanced military technology had apparently been copied and improved by a species they thought was primitive. How was such a thing possible? Colonel Patricia Lewis brought the massive UES Dominator into view of the alien fleet, and Zaranoth finally understood the scope of his mistake. The human ship was larger than most Zephyrian vessels, and bristled with weapons that looked far more advanced than anything in the Empire's arsenal. "Let me explain what really happened here," Lewis said over the communication channel. "Earth's governments realized long ago that any alien contact would probably be hostile. So we created Project Guardian, a secret program to defend our world. The Colonel activated her ship's display systems, showing the alien fleet exactly what they were facing. While you watched our public space program launching simple rockets, we were building a real space navy in hidden shipyards throughout the solar system. While you monitored our civilian communications, our military scientists were decoding your transmissions and reverse engineering your technology." Lewis gestured toward the other human ships visible on the alien sensors. "Every vessel in our fleet uses improved versions of your own technology. Your plasma weapons gave us the idea for our plasma cannons, but ours are 3 times more powerful. Your shield systems taught us how to build better defenses. Your faster-than-light engines showed us how to travel between stars." Commander Ben Phillips added his own ship to the growing display of human military power. "The difference is that we didn't just copy your technology," he explained to the stunned aliens. "We made it better. Human engineers took your designs and improved them in ways your own scientists never thought of." The revelation continued as more human ships revealed themselves throughout the solar system. Director Tom Hayes reported from Titan Station, which the aliens had thought was just a simple research outpost. In reality, it was a massive military base with manufacturing facilities that could build new warships faster than the Empire could replace their losses. "This entire solar system is a fortress," Hayes explained. Every asteroid mining station has hidden weapons. Every satellite has defensive systems. Every space station can transform into a military base within hours. We've spent a century turning our home system into the most heavily defended location in the galaxy. Fleet Admiral Zaranoth finally understood the magnitude of the Empire's intelligence failure. Earth had never been a primitive world ready for easy conquest. It had been a trap, a carefully designed deception that had lured the Zephyrian fleet into a battle they couldn't win. You made your entire planet look weak and defenseless, Zaranoth said, his voice filled with a mixture of admiration and fear. You hid advanced technology behind a facade of primitive development. You turned deception into a weapon more powerful than any plasma cannon or quantum torpedo. Captain Morrison nodded as if the alien commander was finally beginning to understand. That's exactly right, Admiral. While your empire was conquering worlds through superior firepower, humanity was preparing for the day when someone with superior firepower would come for us. We turned our apparent weakness into our greatest strength. The truth was now clear to the surviving Zephyrian forces. They hadn't encountered a primitive species that got lucky in battle. They had walked into a carefully planned trap set by a civilization that had been preparing for this moment for generations. Earth had weaponized paranoia and turned preparation into the ultimate defense. Fleet Admiral Zaranoth stared at the wreckage of his advance fleet floating in space around Earth. Half of his ships were destroyed or badly damaged, while the human vessels showed barely any signs of battle. The aliens had come to conquer what they thought was a weak planet, but instead they had discovered a military power that could challenge the entire Zephyrian Empire. Admiral, his communications officer reported with fear in his voice, we're receiving messages from across the Giants galaxy. News of our defeat is spreading through every star system. Dozens of species are sending signals to Earth, requesting contact with the humans. The news hit Zaranoth like a physical blow. The Zephyrian Empire had built its power on the fear that other species felt when facing their superior technology. Now that fear was gone, replaced by hope that someone could finally stand up to the Empire's expansion, Captain Jake Morrison received the incoming messages on his ship's communication systems. Species after species was reaching out to Earth, many of them civilizations that had been conquered or threatened by the Zephyrians. They wanted to know if humanity would help them fight back against their oppressors. Admiral Brooks, Morrison reported back to Deep Command, we're getting alliance requests from over 40 different worlds. It seems like half the galaxy has been waiting for someone strong enough to challenge the Empire. Admiral Brooks smiled as she read the messages. Earth's victory had done more than just defend their home world. It had inspired oppressed civilizations throughout the galaxy to believe that freedom was possible. The carefully planned deception that had protected Earth was now becoming the foundation for a new galactic alliance that Dr. Carl Mitchell found himself busier than ever as alien scientists requested meetings to share technology and knowledge. Species that had been forced to hide their own advanced research were now coming forward, offering to combine their discoveries with human innovations. Captain, Mitchell told Morrison during one of their planning sessions, we're learning that many civilizations have been secretly developing advanced technology while pretending to be primitive, just like we did. The galaxy is full of hidden potential that the Empire never suspected. Commander Ben Phillips took the UE's retribution on, its first diplomatic mission to the Andranian system, where a peaceful species had been paying tribute to the Empire for 200 years. The Andranians had been forced to give up half their resources every year, but they had also been secretly building defensive weapons in underground facilities. Commander Phillips, the Andranian leader, communicated through translation devices. Your victory has given us hope. We have been preparing for rebellion for decades, but we needed proof that the Empire could be defeated. You have provided that proof. Phillips discovered that the Andranians had developed cloaking technology. That was even better than Earth's stealth systems. In exchange for human weapons designs, they offered to share their invisibility technology with the growing alliance of free worlds. Colonel Patricia Lewis commanded the UES Dominator on a mission to the former Altarian colonies, where the Empire had established military bases after their conquest 15 years earlier. But when her ship arrived, she found that the Altarians had already driven out the Zephyrian forces using weapons they had built in secret. "The Empire is collapsing faster than we expected," Lewis reported back to Earth. "Their control was based on fear, and that fear is gone. Species everywhere are discovering that they're stronger than they thought." The Altarians had developed energy shields that could protect entire planets from orbital bombardment. They had been working on the technology for years, waiting for the right moment to use it. Earth's victory had given them the confidence to finally reveal their defensive capabilities. Dr. Mitchell established research exchanges with dozens of alien species, creating a network of scientific cooperation that spanned the galaxy. Human scientists shared their improvements to plasma weapons and quantum technology, while alien researchers contributed discoveries in faster-than-light travel, energy generation, and defensive systems. "We're learning more in these past few months than we did in decades of intercepting Empire communications," Mitchell reported to Admiral Brooks. "Free cooperation between species is advancing technology faster than any single civilization could manage alone." The Zephyrian Empire found itself facing rebellions on dozens of worlds as news of their defeat continued to spread. Fleet Admiral Zaranoth received reports of uprisings in systems that had been peaceful for centuries. Species that had seemed completely dominated were suddenly revealing hidden military capabilities and demanding their freedom. How many civilizations were secretly preparing for this moment? Zaranoth asked his advisors. How many worlds have been hiding advanced technology while pretending to be helpless? The answer came from his intelligence chief, who had been analyzing reports from across the Empire. "Admiral, it appears that at least half of our subject worlds have been secretly developing military technology. The humans weren't unique in their deception. They were just the first to reveal their true capabilities." Captain Morrison led a fleet of human and allied ships to the former Imperial capital world, where the Empire's government was finally ready to negotiate. The Zephyrians had learned that their age of easy conquest was over. The galaxy was full of species that were stronger and more determined than they had ever imagined. "We propose a new arrangement," Morrison told the Imperial Council during the peace negotiations. "The Empire can continue to exist, but only if it respects the independence of other worlds. No more forced conquests. No more tribute payments. No more threats against peaceful civilizations." The terms were simple but revolutionary. The Zephyrian Empire would become just another member of the galactic community instead of its dominant ruler. They could trade and cooperate with other species, but they could no longer force others to submit to their will. Earth had proven that successful defense required more than just advanced weapons. It needed strategic thinking, long-term planning, and a willingness to appear weak while building strength. The galaxy would never again make the mistake of judging a civilization by its surface appearance. Humanity had earned its place among the stars, not through conquest, but through the courage to stand up to those who would conquer others. The small, blue planet that had seemed so harmless had become the center of a new age of freedom and cooperation that would reshape the balance of power throughout the galaxy.